there are now 10 American scientists who have either gone missing or died since mid-2024. They all reportedly had access to classified nuclear or aerospace material. Is anybody investigating this to see if these things are connected?
I've seen the report, Peter. I haven't spoken to our relevant agencies about it. I will certainly do that and we'll get you an answer.
What do you think is happening here, and do you think that this is connected or totally random?
Well, I hope it's random, but we're going to know in the next week and a half. I just left a meeting on that subject, so pretty serious stuff.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt now says the White House is actively working with all relevant agencies and the FBI to review all the cases together and identify any potential commonalities that may exist. This as the 2022 death of scientist Amy Eskridge has been identified as a possible 11th case included among the recent deaths and disappearances involving Americans tied to classified research. One of the biggest leaders on this subject in Congress, Missouri Congressman Eric Burlison, joins us now. Congressman, what's going on here? Do you think it's possible that some foreign spies could be scooping up our scientists to go build something?
You know, that would be the most likely explanation for a lot of this, and that's not out of the realm of possibilities. I mean, there's been activity of foreign countries interfering with whether or bringing over scientists from other countries, whether you go all the way back to Operation Paperclip, where the United States after World War II. And we if you go back and look, we did use not severe intimidation, but we brought over a lot of German scientists. Russia used extreme intimidation efforts to bring in as many of those German scientists as possible. And then you fast forward to today, there's often activities where countries actively take out or eliminate some of their opposition's top scientists and for the security reasons. So this is not unusual. In fact, today we know that there's an operation by China called Operation Fox Hunt, as well as another one called Operation Skynet, that are designed to bring back and intimidate Chinese scientists to get them to repatriate back to China.
So if these scientists are being blackmailed or forced to do something against their will, if that's what's going on here, do we look at the usual suspects, Russia, China, or do you think that there is a door number 3 that we need to look at?
I think that we should leave all options on the table, all possibilities. When you look at these 11 scientists, there's some outliers, certainly, but each one has a very mysterious and unique case. I think Amy Eskridge, her case is somewhat of an outlier, but it's worth investigating. I mean, we had Michael Schellenberger come to our hearing back in 2024, and in his testimony, he provided information from a researcher, Frank Milburn, who was a retired UK intelligence official, who Amy had reached out to and asked to investigate some of the harassment, some of the weird things that were happening with her. And he determined that she was the victim of a directed energy weapon and that she was likely murdered by a U.S. aerospace company. So those are pretty heavy claims that Schellenberger brought forward to our committee. Now, outside of that, I think what's really interesting and should be focused on, the investigation should be focused on, are the 5 people who really just walked up and left their home. I mean, who does that today? Who leaves their keys, their glasses, their cell phones, and just walks out of their home? Anthony Chavez in May walked out of his home. He was working for he was retired from Los Alamos and had some of our nation's top security secrets. You have Monica Reza, who mysteriously disappeared on a hike just 1 month later. And then within a few days, Melissa Cassius, who worked with Anthony Chavez, also at Los Alamos, she mysteriously walked out of her home, left all of her devices and belongings, walked out with nothing. And then you have, in August, just about a couple of months later, you have Stephen Garcia, who was working on on some of our nuclear weapons programs, who walked out of his home. He had a firearm with him. And then also, of course, General William McCaslin, who walked out of his home in this February.
I do want to get you on something else. You're an expert congressman on a topic that we ask about every chance that we get here at the Sunday briefing, UFOs and UAPs. The Pentagon missed an April 14th deadline this week to release 46 UAP files that Congress wants. Now, some Republicans are threatening the Pentagon with a subpoena. So President Trump is saying this.
We found many very interesting documents, I must say, And the first releases will begin very, very soon. So you can go out and see if that phenomena is correct. You'll figure it out. Let me know.
Do you expect this release to include information about a UFO that you have talked about in the press before that's so big it can't be moved, so the country it's in, which is classified, is hiding it by building a structure around it?
I certainly hope it does include that. Look, President Trump should be applauded. He is the disclosure president. He's done an amazing job of disclosing some of our nation's secrets that they've held on to for decades. But from my experience, we're going to have to wrestle the intelligence community to the ground in order to get this information out of their hands, because they really do everything they can to try to block us in our efforts. I sent a letter that was co-led by Representative Luna, Burchett, and many Democrats even, that was requesting these exact same video files. And then 1 month later, Representative Luna decided to go public with that same request. I'm glad that she did, because at the end of the day, we've played nice, but at some point you have to stop playing nice. You have to be direct. And so I'm glad that the president has taken action. Hopefully he will follow up with an executive order. That's where we will really have some teeth into this, and that will send a message and give the strength to Tulsi Gabbard and her team to actually get these files wrestled away from intelligence.
Congressman Eric Burlison, there's a lot there with both these topics. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anytime.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.